Hello, my name is Tony Spruce and welcome to my first ever Minecraft world. Yep, we are taking a look back far into the past to learn all about the pre-YouTube Tony lore. Something like that. And there is a lot to show you in this world. Far more than surrounds us here, and I'm very excited to finally share that with all of you. I mean, one thing... Well, Endermen already have been back then a nuisance, how it seems. Okay, but before we get too deep into the world lore and... You know, there are kind of two timelines, which... I won't bother you right away. Let's keep that for later. And this is our very first house. In fact, this square up there. That was the very first thing I already started building in the first night. I mean... When I say first world, I have been playing the test version. I don't know if that's still a thing, where you have a limited amount of time to play. A couple of times before I bought the full game, but that was my first proper world and my proper first build. And it looks exactly like that. It's just a cobblestone box and I love it. However, you can still see some of its roots. With the original and first room, the farmer's kitchen, complete with a Duncan and an unnamed kitty cat. Maybe she had a name and I've just forgotten about it. Very likely. I'm so sorry. Yep, farmer's kitchen. There's food stuff, my old iron armor, random nonsense, and a very low ceiling, which back then did not have that wonderful dark oak trapdoor finish. And one thing you need to know about young Tony is that young Tony was an absolute scaredy cat. You can't even imagine how scared that guy was. And that is the reason there are fence posts. They are not a visual choice. I mean, I guess they are just to make it symmetrical. The reason they are here is because we have trapdoors. And originally, there weren't fences outside. That meant, whenever I was accidentally walking on one of these trapdoors, at night time, a mob could wander in. So to prevent that from happening, I had fence posts here. I know, I don't know either, but that's just what it was. Then we had the back room which led to the mines. Which also originally wasn't looking like that at all, but we come back to that later. And then we have the Hall of Importance. I had some glass cabinets originally here and had the idea of putting items in there. Squeezing them in there, but obviously it's not something the vanilla game really allows you to do, and ultimately I never did. And eventually I just repurposed the room completely, and that was inspired by Eros. A very lovely Minecraft YouTuber. I guess back then she had a challenge of posting one video each day, and in one of her builds she had also those small dioramas in the floor, and I just found that idea so lovely, I copied it. Or, well, did build my own thing based on this idea. So we have just... I almost said lush cave, but lush caves were not a thing back then. But just a small... greenery underwater, pond, waterfall kind of thing, as well as a minecart system. And you can see that the minecart expands into this mine shaft. And we have stairs. Haha! Yep. And that leads to a nether diorama, which of course leads to our nether portal. But we won't go in there right away. And is there actually anything in those chests? No. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And, you know, just in case it's not already obvious, this tour will be just pure chaos, because I was trying to find a good way to tour my world, to have a logical arrangement of all the destinations and rooms and things and stuff, but it's just not going to happen. It's just so cluttered and so many passageways, leading in all kind of directions. It's amazing, really. Alright, then we have the first floor with 2 guest rooms. Complete with apples and even kelp blocks. Fancy. However, you know, the sad thing about all guest rooms in single-player worlds, there never has been any guest. These rooms were always just vacant. Yeah. But we have a pretty large balcony area, which is in pure cobblestone aesthetic. It's fine. Absolutely fine. I once had a wandering trader kind of trapped up here and many things happened here. Many things. And this is the most upper floor, which back then I thought was really fancy with a glass ceiling, glass all around, and high up in the sky so you have a wonderful view upon the lands. Yeah, not at all. And originally, that wasn't carpet. Originally these were full wool blocks. Not because I didn't know that carpet existed, but just for the case I should want to put a crafting bench down here. You know how that is. Or maybe even fence posts. Then you would have the oak poking through and you don't want that. So I put down full blocks. Except for the trim, of course, because it would look odd. Eventually I exchanged them because the ceilings are already quite something. Quite low down. And there are no half slabs for wool blocks, of course. And the sun is rising. I guess that was the main purpose I had that built. So we can admire the wonderful sunset without getting eaten by the mobs. And that is also why eventually I put down that fence there. Because as you can see, there is a dark forest, a very dark forest with, by the way, wonderful terrain. But let's continue our tour. Because as you maybe have noticed, we have another stairway leading up to that section of the base, which is for the most part completely empty, unfortunately. Back in the day I wasn't really... That is my actual bedroom. Oh, speed, maybe that will be... comes in handy eventually. I have some, not many discs, but at least something. Yep, that is my bedroom. But back in the day I was not very creative about room usage. You know, generally I'm very puristic in many things. So when it comes to Minecraft builds, I always thought in the terms of what do I actually need? What makes sense in terms of gameplay? So there is a brewing room further up. We have a bedroom, but I was just... Back then I would never have built a room just for fun, just because it looked good. Which is sad looking back, but that's how I rolled. And of course interior decoration, I mean, yeah, it's just... It's very much looks like 2012, doesn't it? Yep, that is my brewing room. I mean, we don't even have to spend much time in here. This room is completely empty. However, the top is something I was very proud of. A rooftop garden. And of course, because we didn't have Silk Touch back then. I mean, it was in the game, but I did not have it. Yep, I built a staircase out of dirt blocks. And it took forever for the grass to spread up here, but eventually it did. And then we come to one of the buildings that does no longer exist. Once that was an epic dance hall. But of course, this is a single player world, so nobody ever danced in it. And it was kind of looking out of place anyway. So eventually I decided to tear it down. Why is that door open? Is there somebody in this world? To tear it down and replace it with other builds. However, and that is a fun Easter egg that of course no one of you will get unless I tell you for obvious reasons. That originally was the entrance hall towards the dance room. That ceiling and that floor is still original. As well as a balcony, I believe. But you would enter the dance room through here. Now there is just an awkward open area. And that used to be the dance hall. I built it out of andesite, and that was before smooth andesite existed. Not andesite, diorite. Before smooth diorite existed, I have no clue why, but I thought it was a good idea back then. Now it's just a large map room, kind of sorts. And I guess the chandeliers are still original. I guess they're the original part here. And if we You know, we really should exchange the middle door for trapdoors. I don't know why I never thought of that myself, but a pearlescent door would look much better here. And the final part, and also that floor is still original, and why have I left it out there? That was, or was supposed to be the kitchen or the restaurant, which never got any interior. But the floor is still existent. Don't question it. Don't question it. And this... Oh, no, there are no bubbles here, though it goes up and down. Okay, why have I brought you up here? There is absolutely nothing. However, there is a lovely bridge. Oh, and you can see the official flag of this world. Oh, yep. By the way, the name of this world is Squirreled, which I thought back then was very original and very funny because it's a square world. Insert laughter here. Or applause or something. I guess this top is a little bit more interesting. Because we have those fancy windows. I guess from the inside it's rather spacey actually. Oh yes, chain blocks also were another thing back then. As you can see. I left this world in 1.17. Just before I started my 1.17 Let's Play series. So that is about the time frame. However, I don't think I have made any changes to this area in 1.17. I started at a new place, which I will show you later. Oh, it's raining. Which I guess is perfect, because when it's raining, we can go into the basement. Because there is a full basement, which is kind of a museum. So, that is a junk chest. Because already back then I had that idea to have kind of a museum space in every world. Just to keep the important things in place. My original armor. Old weapons. Oh, my first diamond pickaxe, which has no name, by the way. All my newer tools are named. And look at those names. Sharp Shirley, Fiery Fiona, Gentle Janessa, Enduring Amelia, Tender Tina, and Charming Charlene. Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either. Enderman's Gift? Oh yes, that was the first grass block we had in this world. And it is from the cobblestone era. Why have I called it cobblestone era? Well, you saw my original base, didn't you? Yeah. Backup sword, age unknown. The only iron hoe in this world. Okay, old fishing rod. It's fascinating, really. That room is empty. I think I was reserving it for... should I've ever found a fossil. Which I never did. Oh, and that is one of the tools which was so expensive to repair that I just couldn't repair anymore. Because... oh, that one has mending. But I guess it was probably towards the end of this world where mending was available through trading, because originally it wasn't, and it was therefore very, very rare. Alright, and that is the floor of the entrance room, which I don't know why I have just not covered it up. Maybe that was intentional? I had questionable taste back then, so it's fine. To the dioramas and to the aquarium. Oh, the aquarium, yeah, about that. We have a small art gallery, because why not? And that is another diorama which we have seen before from the other side. Well, then there's also an end diorama. And yes, that bridge leads over here to the nether. We have been there before. And what is that? A small cave. Oh, I guess I've just stumbled upon that while digging. Back then I was very obsessed with, and I'm kind of still am, with trying to incorporate the world with what you naturally find. So rather than just walling it up, I have a small platform here. It is so weird looking at that. It is weird. I guess I'm weird. Not much about that has changed. And that leads to the aquarium, which already leads kinda to the proper underground. And gosh, this is a maze. Yep, That's the aquarium. I know, it's pathetic. It's very sad. It never got completed. It's just what it is. And to go now back up. We have been here before. That is my entrance to the underground area. And here we have a small shack for seats. Oh, the fog effect. I mean, that's new. I guess that is also something we have to appreciate. Because this server tour... Server tour? Because this world tour is the first time I myself see this world with full render distance. To see the complete Christmas village up there. And yes, even that was a thing back then. As well as a lighthouse. I never would have even dreamed about that I could see the lighthouse from my main base. From Squirrel Central. How it's called, we will come back to that. It's just amazing. You know, I used to play on a potato, but obviously not anymore. Before we get to my bedroom, we have been here before. What I wanted to show you quick is just the official flag. Back then there were no patterns, so maybe I would exchange that dot with something else nowadays, but back then it just had to be that. And the colors, by the way, they represent land, the beach, as well as the ocean. There is no ocean here anywhere to be seen, but there's a lighthouse, so we will come back to that. It will make sense. And of course that is kind of the main entrance, even though I rarely ever used it, but it kinda is. And I will now snag that ender chest, because I had one on me, but on the way back here, back to spawn, before I was recording, yeah, that happened. Because, you know, these pickaxes were the other way around, and I don't know why, because I usually always have Silk Touch first, and yeah, things happen. It's just what it is. And I guess it's now time to show you the underground section. That is the aquarium. Originally that room, by the way, was supposed to be my mushroom farm, but then I realized it was way too small. So I kept it as a kind of a middle room, and the proper mushroom farm is down here. Not furnished, but that is fine. And if I remember correctly, there's another room, and that leads to the railway. Oh yes, that is a big thing. We will come back to that, to my minecart system. That was just one of those crazy... What the heck is that? Totally forgot about that room. Okay, fine. I'm kinda amazed and weirded out by myself. Okay, and what is that now? I guess that is a way to my storage room. Oh yes. And what the heck is that? Okay, that leads back to this room. And that Oh. That is the access to the aquarium. I completely forgotten about that. Can I? Oh. That's smart. I mean, I could only do that after crouching was introduced, which I know is kind of a millennium ago. For most of you, crouching was always there, and not crouching, but the ability to shrink down your hitbox to 1.5 blocks, but to those old-timey persons like me, that 1.5 block thing is still the latest jazz. You just have to understand that. Yep, that's the aquarium. Pretty sad. I mean, it's awkward, but it works. It's kind of amazing. And I guess... Oh my lord, I was going full on with that. That's my pickle farm, because everyone needs a good pickle farm. And how is that supposed to work? I guess like that. That is amazing. I'd completely forgotten about that room. I love that. Sea life storage. Okay, I also had names for everything. I guess that is something I've lost, to give names to each and every room. And yes, that is my storage segment. With a random bed, because you just need it. My somewhat automatic kelp farm. yeah, I just need to craft those into blocks and activate that, and then that works. Much simpler than I have in my current world, actually. Oh well, oh well. And that, I guess, is the maintenance room for that. Yes, it is. Don't bore you with that. Even though I'm really curious about all the nooks and crannies of this world. Because there's so much amazing stuff. And where does that stairwell lead to? Oh, I think I know what that is. Let's follow that hallway. And that leads to my castle that was never built. That was at a bigger scale I started to build, but all of those rooms are very barren, not completely empty, but there isn't much there. Those were supposed to be the castle towers. However, the sad thing about that is that I never actually built that castle because there just wasn't really a purpose for it. Because the base was just right there. So eventually I just covered it up and have now a large park area with my stables, where we have llamas as well as horses. And also I have made changes to the gates without adjusting the path apparently. But also these, there's just string underneath that was also mob protection. Because mobs, at least back then, but that might still be the case, don't... No, that's still the case. That's just carpet for them. That's not a full block they think they can walk on. But obviously, one row of carpet blocks wouldn't be enough because mobs can push each other. So we need two of them. Yeah. And that is my... That used to be my barn. We'll come back to that. No fishing. That is my original creeper statue. I have an epiphany, which kinda comes as a shock. In my current world, there is no creeper statue. Oh dear. That is not good, because, as you may not know, if you don't have a creeper statue in your world, if you don't worship the creepers, they will come for you. They will leave you in peace if you worship them. That is why we have those. But you see that the basement is hollow, and that has a reason. Because one of those buttons, not this one, not that one, not that one either, is it this one? Oh, it's that one. Isn't that amazing? It just opens it up. I guess the idea was back then for, once again, if you have more people on this world, which was bound to never happen. I do have friends, I promise, but they don't play any Minecraft, you know, that's the issue. If there were more people in this world, you could, you know, build up small parkours and race around the world. And it would just be fun to race through that, rather than just around it. And that is the whole reason that exists, that piston function. And that's a good enough reason for me. Maybe let's first of all look at that, because we already had that spiral staircase, which is the same, it links up with that. And here we climb it all the way to the top. All the way to the top. Yep, we're still not there. All the way to the top. It was a tedious job building that thing. All the way to the... What the heck is... Let's not question that. All the way to the top we come to the glass cafe. Okay, the glass cafe. Which also never got any interior. Yeah, but still has a little bit of glass and gives us a wonderful view over the Christmas village. Then we can go further up, then that is the balcony. And then we can even climb a ladder. And then we're at the top of the squirrel at 349.5 block. No. What? 116 blocks high. Which back then was a tall number. Enjoy the sight. Oh, and I completed it on the last day of August in 2015. Okay, I need to let that sink in for a minute. That is over 10 years ago. Okay, now I feel officially old. That is really 10 years ago. God. That is horrible. But the site is wonderful. You already see the lighthouse, that minecart line, as well as whatever that is back there, as well as our tree farm. We will visit that briefly, even though it's all not very pretty, but we will. Christmas Village, the Shattered Savannah, there are also buildings far off into that distance. A random creeper, the unfinished railway station, number 3. Number 4, I have lost count. Because maybe that's now a good opportunity. Because, you know, it's already moody outside here. This world has a bit of a dramatic backstory that I had a hardware crash. And I lost a lot of progress in this world. And so much, in fact, that I was completely bummed out. For a while, I think I didn't play any Minecraft at all. And then I started a new one because I just didn't have it in me to continue with this world after the crash. However, with the new world, I just didn't have the inspiration to engage in big build projects. I don't know, I just didn't have the same energy. So eventually I decided to come back and realized that the losses are not, well, they were about a year of work, but, you know, not a year of hermitcraft kind of progress. So not quite as dramatic as it may sound like. Also, not all the things I built and added on were too great, so I had a second chance and regained what was lost and made it even better. And that is the timeline we are currently in, because obviously the other one is lost. It's gone. And that is why I'm a little bit confused, because I remember now that is the 3rd train station I built in that location. You know, that continuously grew bigger, but I already had a 3rd train station in the old world. So there are 2 3rd train stations. And the second one you see here never got completed. Alright. And then let's climb down. Oh yeah, that is Tony proofing, so we don't break our ankles. I was just such a genius back then. Times have changed, I have no clue what that is. I also had bold plans of rebuilding many things, so I wanted to turn this rather ugly tower, to be quite honest, into a redstone torch. And have that glass cafe a glass sphere of red stained glass, which of course never happened, as you can see. And also with my original base, I wanted to give it a triangle-shaped roof. I wanted to keep the original essence. I didn't want to exchange the block choice, but just to give it a proper roof. Once again, never happened, because back then it seemed like such a big and tedious task. How times have changed. Now we come back to our storage room. We have been here before. And now I guess it's time to finally enter the proper basement, which is through here. Why is there a water? I guess that was just a water source kind of thing. Yeah, that is the basement. And once again, that is the original mine, the original strip mine I had in this world, which is absolute chaos and also not really safe because, I guess now it's safe because the spawning has changed. And then we also have another small cave, which is mostly walled up, but I guess it continues here. Yeah, but that's just a cave. I just have that for nostalgic reasons. Why are there 3 torches? I have no idea. That leads to the castle, and I had a secret room, but maybe that was in the lost timeline. In that parallel universe where I had that secret room, because I can't find it. Or it's just so secret that even I can't find it myself. I don't know. But, oh yes, I was redesigning that stairwell. Give it some proper trim around the edges, which, you know, is all still kind of rough and incomplete, but it's a start. And what the heck is that? I don't remember building that. Old ravine. Okay, I blocked that off because of mobs. Okay, I remember that ravine. There is iron. Yes, I remember that thing and that Why is that such a fancy bridge? I remember that ravine. I had no idea that this was actually connected up to my world. This is just weird. I mean, I love it. Maybe I should return to that style of a base, because that maze style, it's wonderful. Okay, that's the sugarcane farm, the redstone axis. I mean, it's just your basic sugarcane farm, similar to the bamboo farm I have in my current world. And there are also some displays. Yes, here. That is very similar to my bamboo farm, actually. That is ominous. That is my mob farm. What do these do? Oh. That is for if I want to kill them myself. Oh, and I have modified it to be just a creeper farm. Wow. I was really going all out back then. But do I have a AFK chamber? I don't think I have, but I have a redstone chamber. What for, actually? Oh, and I even have a ladder back up. That is amazing. Okay, but it's just a redstone access. It's not to the farm itself. That would be too dangerous, I suppose, for little Tony. Oh my word. That's... you can't see that, but I'm really... I'm brimming. I have a big smile on my face seeing that. I love that. And that is why these trapdoors are here. Gosh. Pull lever down to activate farm. Yes, and it's even has a toggle off, which in a single player world isn't that needed really, but it has. Okay, I love that. I really love that. Before we go down that hallway... Oh, that is the output of the sugarcane farm. And that is a small manual mushroom farm, which isn't very efficient. But, you know, it's one old school farm that is directly inspired by good old Etho. Yes, I'm an Etho girl. Of course I am. How could I not be? Is there a secret room? No, just ominous paintings. Oh yeah, and that's the miner's hut. With a second rendition of the enchanting room. Originally that was behind a secret door, but eventually I realized that's just... I don't need a secret door for that. However, the first remake of this, in the parallel universe, all that here was my enchanting room. So we had lever control over the bookshelves in the case we wanted to have different levels of enchantment. And redstone is just bulky, so we needed a big area for that. This one is just what it is. Yeah, that's my underground storage. Fancy stuff. Yeah, that is actually rather fancy. Why is the book open? I don't like that. Back in the day you did not have that thing, so I don't use it. No, seriously. Use it if you want to, but I just feel it kind of breaks the immersion. As an old school player, I just love to remember the recipes and lose my sanity if I don't. Then we have a pumpkin farm, which I guess is just a manual pumpkin farm, simple as it gets. And then we have one of my very first farms, a slime farm, where I just hope that stuff walks off and lands onto the magma blocks, which originally was cactus because magma did not exist back then. Nope, it did not. It was cactus and was so also my cactus farm. And because I removed the cactus, I no longer have a cactus farm. And that links up directly. You know, that goes from the collection pit, the pit of death, quite literally, to this chest. Gosh, do I have a lot of slime there. Alright. That ceiling is fancy. That's also not the original ceiling. That is all these... I mean, these rooms existed in the original before Hardware Crash world, but these fancy things I only did after I came back to this world. As well as where we're going to enter right now. The diamond mine. Just because it's low down. And yes, that is a proper mine well, semi-proper mineshaft. Never completed it. XP farm? Sure enough. And do we have a minecart? Oh, I have one in my inventory. Because in theory, I mean, that's just a big strip mine. There's a mineshaft. There's my lava storage, because I hate to destroy lava blocks. It's just, you don't do that. And, oop. Tony, sit down first and then press the start button, please. And really, this mine was supposed to be really efficient. So the minecart track is linked up, so we can stay in the mine for as long as we want to and can get the minecart to do all the hard work for us. And yes, the diamonds in the main tunnel, of course, are left to show off. Just for decoration as well, the redstone code and whatever you find. And the bricks is only in those places where I had to patch up. Everything original, I left in place. And that is the other end. Which, what the heck is that? Oh, that's a spawner. Spider spawner. Completely forgotten about that. Oh, there's a disc. I should maybe bring that home because we don't have cat. Fascinating. Yeah, there are so many things I've completely forgotten about this world. Was that also an etho-realistic mining inspiration? By the way, I would know how many of you know what I mean when I say etho-realistic mining. Because that is such a deep cut that I would be surprised if anyone knows what I'm talking about. I mean, some of you surely do. Some of you, but probably not many. And that, no, that doesn't work. I have to take the stairs. And what the heck is that? Where the hell does that lead to? What? You know, somebody could have come into this world, added things. I just couldn't tell the difference. What is... I wouldn't know. I guess some memories come back about that. But what the literal heck? I know to you all of that doesn't make any sense because you have never seen this world before. But I'm just amazed. I know these signs. Oh no, it doesn't say danger, just east entrance. I guess danger was in my 1.17 YouTube world, not this one. And that is the farmers miners village. Something like that. Oh, there is a danger sign. I knew there was one somewhere. To the mine. Okay, and what says that? Welcome to Miners District. Oh yeah, and the buildings look absolutely hideous. I mean, sorry, but what the heck is that? I mean, the fireplace is nice. I remember that hall being much bigger, by the way. That is tiny. In my memories, that is a grand hall, and what? Oh, that's a cartography table. It looks so different when you don't see the top. But that sideways texture is actually quite nice. I have to build with that. That is my storage door with a diagonal door. Yep. That's exactly what it is. Oh, and there's a map. That is amazing. Storage facility capacity 128 cubic blocks. Completed on day 2984. Because eventually I figured having real life dates. Oh, that looks awesome. I don't remember that arch being there. That's awesome. Real life dates make no sense in a Minecraft world because if you pause a world for a year and then come back, it's like no time has passed. So the in-game time is much more usable. Cow Hill. Yeah, sure. Cow Hill it is. But that's everything back here. But I will... That's just a cave, I guess. I was too lazy to patch up. I will show you the road. The highway, the foot highway back. Capital Town it was called. Okay, and that leads to nowhere. I guess my temporary tree farm. That was just a straight way back home. Not sure if we will make it there in time before nighttime falls. And is there... Oh, yes! There's still the boat with 2 villagers trapped in it. Hi, fools! How's it going? And somewhere there was... I guess that is a location navigation tower. Not really a lighthouse. But, you know, kind of the same idea. Oh yes, there's a way down. That is my tree farm, my proper tree farm, by the way, with protection against big trees. And that is just a pathway. And if we go off the highway, we have now this small shack. Maybe I just should plonk down a bed now. This is my bee's hut, my beekeeper's hut. No, it... Wait. I kinda had the memory that I called it fishing shack. Which makes absolutely no sense, as the water is way back there. Yeah, but it's actually the fishing hut! And it lacks ceiling because it burned, yes. Beekeeper. There was a story about bees. That was my bee sanctuary. I don't think I've called it sanctuary back then, but... You know, there was my pond with my colorful fish, and there were my bees. I don't know what exactly it was, but I didn't have permanently installed campfires like you would do. But I rather had to light them. And I accidentally lit one of the trees on fire. And for some reason I was unable to put the fire out, and catastrophe happened and everything burned, and including that floating log, and I've never repaired that damage. Which is kinda sad, because it was such a tranquil and peaceful area. With that man-made channel, that small wooden bridge. It was lovely, but now it's gone. Now it's just gone. Should I show you that area from back then? Because that water was really supposed to be a moat around the castle area. That is why I've included that here. And that for sure was an Enderman. And, you know, my terraforming skills back then I wasn't just a purist, I also was very mathematical about everything. So that is on a perfect diagonal, which takes a perfect 45-degree turn. It looks ugly as heck, and also there's too much seagrass down there. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. And that highway is completely centered with the station, but we'll get to the station on a later date. Because first of all, we will walk. Oh, come on. Pathways were a huge upgrade to this world. A huge upgrade. I remember dying there a lot. What actually is that? Is it a ravine? I had the worst death loop I ever experienced in this game down here. Yeah, that's probably why I put the glass there. Is it the same ravine that links up to my base? Probably. That also looks rather ominous. It's just weird. I guess that pathway leads to nowhere. Yep, that just drizzles out. And yes, that is my new barn. Originally it was back then, but it was too cramped and also too noisy because... That is why my record machine, which never really worked. Have a creeper there and a skeleton there. Old torture device. And you know, it blew up several times, that is why there is birch. But that is by now an historic artifact. So it won't get moved or removed or repaired. Also, the torches are absolutely hideous. Oh yes, okay, one is just missing there, and I guess that on top was on purpose so nothing would spawn up there, even though it's impossible anyway. But I was a scaredy cat back then, in case I have not mentioned it before. That is also why there's a fence. Just in case you wondered. And that is my new barn, which, honestly, isn't even that bad. There's a little bit, you know, the trapdoor, a little bit of decoration set in. Some carving in the woodwork. Yeah, that's actually not bad. The fat ones. The carrot eater. The noisemaker. And the wool dogs. What in the living creeper hole have I consumed back then? I don't remember my past self being so unhinged. Let's just go onwards. Follow that path, which is a lovely path. There isn't much of decoration out there, but it's all probably done. It's basic, but it does the job. Also, we have some minecart bridges. We'll come back to them. And I guess around this corner... Oh yes, because there was a naturally generated cave, so I decorated it. At least the top bit. The underneath is not decorated, but because you can see it from the minecart line at least a little bit, I did something to it. However, we have to cross the river, and that path drizzles out. I guess that must be the point where I just got bored and stopped. And that squid is about to die. Because it makes no sense that this path stops. The minecart line doesn't. And yes, there's lava underneath, that's why there are fences missing. Because also the minecart lines are completely encased in fences. And there are fences on top so that mobs couldn't fall in. It was just horrible. You know, if I could talk to past me, I would just take that guy by his ears. Oh, that is how I became an elf. That makes sense. Minecart station, we'll come back to that. We'll save that for later, but for now, let's look at the lighthouse, which has redstone. I was so proud about that redstone clock back then. It's just the best thing. Of course, it's just a cross shape, because for that you only need one output. It was the simplest to do. But honestly, that works. That works perfectly. And what does the interior say? Because I'm pretty sure there will also be surprises in here. What the heck? Why did I have a wooden sword here? Because I only built that later in the lifespan of this world. A lot of chest clutter. Fine. Empty rooms, more empty rooms. Because there are so many rooms in a lighthouse. Oh my word. Okay, yeah, that's the redstone. I remembered being more here, but maybe that was in the parallel universe. Or I just have a very colorful memory. But talking about projects I got bored of. There is an ocean monument behind that desert. And you remember, I was scared back then. So I thought it was a good idea to build a whole city besides that monument, so I could place my spawn back there, so that in the case I should die, I can just run back. Yes, that is the reason I built this utopia. And yes, diorite walls were not a thing back then. That is why we have cobblestone on top of diorite and sandstone in between. It's hideous, I know. It's just what it is. And keeping my stuff organized was just never a talent of mine. It's fine. But I love that indoor farm. That is just very cute. I guess there is just storage. You know, of course I could have built it out of quartz, but I'm not going to gather that much quartz. Oh no. Nowadays you could build that out of pale oak, which would work nicely. And that also has slabs. Of course, there are also nowadays diorite slabs, so you don't have to use sandstone. And even though I dug out the desert here, I constantly run out of sand. Back then I also had no idea how to fill that with water, that it's all source blocks, and I was debating if I should build larger ships. Because you remember I was a purist back then, so a ship that wouldn't move was just... I didn't like that idea. Which is weird looking back, as nowadays I build all the ships. And I don't know if you see that. I ventured to that deep back into the ocean, because that pillar looks so odd. It's the man of the sea. But it's just a dirt pillar. And I guess stone down there. But it looked important back in the day. But I guess back in the day everything looked important. And yes, I wanted this whole area to be eventually an island, not connected to anything. Why then I have built it in a desert and not just in the ocean, I don't know. It's just what I did. And can we get on top? Because also this is kind of a maze, as you can probably tell at that point. Everything is... oh, there's a bed. Everything is a maze in this world. I had so many plans for this thing, while also having no clue of what I was doing. And of course, there is a gate, because I was a scaredy cat. But we will just follow that through to the ocean monument. Not that there is anything, because in this world, this ocean monument is not raided. I did raid it, but that was before the hardware crash. Oh, and a cactus flower grew. Which is lovely, because obviously that was not a thing back then. Yeah, there's the monument. And with that we will go back to the lighthouse. Modern architecture. Back then I was all about modern architecture in Minecraft. While still trying to keep a medieval theme. Yeah, I don't know. Looking back at it, it really just doesn't make any sense. I was definitely not thinking that thing through. However, we will now take the minecart back, so we can experience that fundamental part of this world too. Oh yeah, and also there's a balcony. Yeah, there's nothing up there, and torch spam of course, and a waiting seat with an ocean view, which is lovely. And this is called Harbor. SCS, by the way, stands for Squirreled Cart System, and that line leads to Central as well as Birch Hill. We haven't been in Birch Hill, but we will go there. But let's go to Central first, even though there will be another station in between. As that will be the farming station. I don't actually know what it's called, but we will find out. And oh, yep, I did do that. That, by the way, was not past me, that was just recent me while I was traveling around this world before recording. And that is... is that not a name? Central Farm, okay, it's just called Central Farm. Wheat fields, finish day 2370. In the parallel universe, no jumping for obvious reasons. That was my storage facility. I built a huge above-ground storage room, which looked ugly. I was trying to get more shape into it, but I absolutely failed. However, I cannot show you because I don't have any screenshots or anything of that. But in the universe we are in, I have decided to turn that into a big wheat field to feed all my villagers, which are not here, but rather somewhere near Redtopia. What is Redtopia, you might ask? We will get there. Modern machinery. Modern machinery. However, if we continue that minecart line, is there still a minecart on the track? No. Is there a chest for minecarts? Oh yes, there is. Then we get to Central. Or at least that would be the idea. Because as you've already seen, the Central Station is unfinished, and that means... yeah. Originally I had a... that also is weird that this happens. I had a tunnel leading underneath the wheat fields. But that was just chronically in the way. So I decided to get rid of it. And have rather this underground entrance into this grand Central Station with multiple floors. We also had that kind of city rapid transportation system, which would lead to the miners district, which of course also never got finished because bricks is just something that is painful to acquire. But that actually doesn't look that bad. I like the design of that. And we have an underground railway, but we'll come back to that later. For now, I guess, we will check out Birch Hill, because... How do I even get on the train to Birch Hill? Is that... Oh, that... Oh yeah, and that was... just covered over terrain where the castle is, by the way, but that's just not important. And yes, there's a door besides the opening for... because it's under construction and stuff. It's fine. It's totally fine. That is a line to Birch Hill. Back then I had the idea that every place I discover, I would build a minecart line to. So everything is perfectly connected and safe. And this, apparently I was trying to oh no, that's something different. We'll come back to that. What the heck is... What I did not realize is that I wouldn't get to anywhere because that's a lot of work and a lot of iron. And it also resulted into, well, ghost towns. And that is what Birch Hill is. An absolute ghost town, because other than Enderman, nothing lives here. Absolutely nothing. That minecart station, by the way, is very fancy. There was, or maybe still is, a YouTube tutorial from many moons ago teaching you how to build that junction. Is it actually about that junction, or is that my own design? I'm not sure. Maybe that's my own design, maybe that is from the tutorial. And we have lines going to the desert, to nowhere. I guess these are those two lines that were never built. And... oh, wait. That says harbor. Is that the desert I mean by that? Okay, I'm confused. Central harbor. Maybe let's sit down in the minecart. Maybe that makes more sense. Because, you know, so we have many buttons, and the idea was pretty much... Yeah, I remember these signs don't... They are not placed in the direction where the destination is, but rather are aimed to guide you. So when you sit here and you want to get to the location X, you would press... Okay, that makes no sense because that's empty. If you wanted to go to the desert, you would press that button. And then you would press... What? Did we want to go to the desert? Then you would press this button. And then you would go to the desert. Oh, that's the desert I talked about on the signs. Yeah, I did explore quite a way into that direction, but it never came to anything. More modern architecture with our fancy red floor. I got these random chests are just so horrible. There's even a redstone room, because there always needs to be proper redstone access. And you can already see where the zombie is burning up, the Christmas village. But we will tackle it from the other side. Have I? No, where's the minecart? I have taken it back. So, we'll try that again. We will now want to go towards the harbor. Here we go. Central and harbor, so we will press that station and off we go. But you have already seen that there is another minecart track that's about to be built. Don't know why this is there. I guess I also was trying to reroute this. Yep, and that of course leads... Squid, we don't have another death today. Thank you. That leads to the Christmas village. The original Christmas village. Yeah, that is amazing, I know. Why the heck is that still there? Yeah, I know. Never has there been an elf in all history of Elvenhood that excited while walking up an absolute treacherous and horrible stone staircase. That also isn't a very efficient minecart line. It's supposed to be pretty, because it's a Christmas village. Huh. That wooden bridge, it's lovely. I love it. I mean, it's not a piece of art, but I love it. Capital Main, nowhere. And these are the snowy hills. With the mob-proof entrance. You know, I learned. And this is my original Christmas village. That is my original hut. There wasn't yet concrete in the game when I built that. Would you believe that? No concrete whatsoever. There had been concrete for the second build. I also have, I mean, that is terracotta. Then we have this wonderful chocolate bridge over to a stable. We also had snow golems here, but I guess they all died by now. And then the original Christmas tree, which soon grew too small. So I built this big boy of a Christmas tree. Which I guess is the original big Christmas tree. Yeah. It still looks awesome. But that's all about the Christmas village. Now I will take you back to the main central station, or the main capital station, or whatever it's called, and then we'll head underground into that direction and see you in Retopia. There used to be a lava pond there. Oh god. I guess not see you in Retopia, as I wanted to show you the underground of that station, by the way. It's fine. That is the underground line, or what was supposed to become the underground line, or the new version, as all of that had been rebuilt. And that, by the way... Yes, that is the original underground station, or that was. I bricked that up because that had to go for the new station. And that is where we peeked out before. But they link up back there. Oh, and of course I closed it off, as you would do. And here is, we still have track, because that of course is all very old stuff. You can also see that I have not put that redstone torch underneath, but rather to the side, like an absolute noob would do. Wait, what is that? Oh, that is just a platform. And after what feels like an absolute eternity, we are finally approaching... Well, not yet. Not quite yet, actually. We are finally about to approach. Any second now. We are about to approach Retopia subway station. I guess I could have waited 2 more seconds. How's it officially called? Welcome to Retopia SCS. It's just that. Fair enough, I suppose. God. And that torch situation, old Tony really needs therapy. Because that's not healthy. That is absolutely not healthy. And why is it called Retopia? Well, because I built out of granite. But that is another ghost town. Because there really isn't anything there. Except for random chests. And more modern architecture. Maybe I should eventually come back to that and try, with my current skills, to do modern architecture. Because, you know, that is all just hideous. And yes, that is Retopia Castle. Which was the big flagship project back in the day. Which never got completed. Never. And it is also kinda... Why have I built that there? You know, I even tried then to lower the ground around it. Because, you know, castles are usually on top of mountains, or at least hills, somewhere elevated and not just plonked down in the middle of nowhere. But I guess we can check it out. Hi, pig. I mean, looking at it from afar, it doesn't even look that bad. I mean, it doesn't look good or anything, but it could be worse. That is my... Yep, there's a stronghold. That is why I built that place, right? Because a stronghold is around here. Yep, but I don't... Oh. Oh! I actually did do things. And I linked it up in the nether, by the way. We'll get to the nether. Okay. Fancy, but I don't think... I definitely didn't do anything in the end. Oh god, Oh, that scared me. That diamond armor back there. Oh, fancy. I don't remember spawning in the abyss. There are actually some things. The start of a civilization. Okay. Oh, yeah, I like it. I like it. But let's go back, because I don't think... Was that supposed to be a direct connection to the entrance point, probably? Uh-huh. Yep, that was supposed to link up with that eventually. Then let's quickly also show you the castle from the inside, even though there isn't really an interior. I have banners to keep the bad guys out, and... it's just that. It's some fancy architecture, which is of course not... you wouldn't have seen something like that in medieval times for obvious reason, but it was quite on purpose. And that is really all there is to that. However, even though, if you have thought that underground minecart track was long... Oh... Wait and see! My nerdiness only begins to start here, with a train going to the mesa. Of course not without yet again traversing some scattered savanna. And more tunnels with absolute hideous torch spam. But I love that bridge going over here. It's a very lovely route. Floating stones. And around that area, you see horses around. That is the only time I've killed a horse in Minecraft. Because, you know, it was in between the fences. It wasn't supposed to be there. Walked in there on its own. It was the only time, and I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed for doing that. I know there are other people out there who do that for fun, but I didn't have fun doing that. That was just horrible. Yeah, to this day I really feel bad. Really feel guilty. However, I'm not feeling guilty for enslaving all those dudes. Hi, cat. All those dudes. As well as an infinite amount of iron golems. The iron golem spawning back then was a thing. Okay. What's going on in here? A party, it seems. And also... yeah, don't look at that golem. That was my second attempt of... it's gathering. How many of them are there? Was my second attempt of... transforming that village. The first attempt I had a very ugly door building there. It was just doors with a roof on top. A flat roof. Because back then, there was nothing sexier to villagers than doors. I know, these guys are weird, but they used to be even weirder. However, where that still manifests is I guess the town hall. And by the way, those path blocks, I have placed them there. This village still originally spawned with gravel. And also these buildings. I don't think they had corner stairs. They were full blocks. I've exchanged them. I upgraded the village. But yes, that town hall still has a buttload of doors. But already also a buttload of lecterns. Okay, there's another unfinished corner tower. That village was properly defended. Even with arrow slits, which are 2 stairs, as you can see. Oh, I was so proud about this technology back in the day. It was awesome. It was very awesome. I spent a lot of time here, of course, trading for emeralds, trading for stuff, but also building those walls. I killed so many squids in here. You won't even believe it how many squids one man, one elf can kill. But I guess... oh, here we still see the door spam. Because it's a backside, so kind of the garden terrace section, you can have 3 doors there. It's totally legit. And yes, there's a desert. And then there are icebergs. I don't know what the code thought of placing icebergs there. It just happened. There are also some pink sheep around this area. It's just a weird location. And yes, that is also villager proof. Because you know how these guys are. Oh, where's actually the entrance to this house? Because the entrance spawned on this side. So I had a wooden pathway, a wooden dock kind of leading towards that. But that of course is ugly, so I've changed it. I guess there's just a stair from the basement. Let's... no, there's no access? How? Oh. Well, that's how we did that. That used to be a chicken farm. The most cruel chicken farm in the world. That used to be nothing but chickens in here. Nothing but chickens. And I guess that still speaks of that time. The remnants you find all over the court. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Just the remnants you find are just so hilarious to me. Yeah, I had a good time in this world. I had a very good time. But we've only seen a fraction of that line. We have a wonderful wooden bridge, which gives us a final look at this beautiful village you will probably never see again. Because obviously, I'm showing you this world to be nostalgic, to show you off my roots, but there is just no real reason to come back to it. I have the itch to change maybe small things around here and there, but at the end of the day, I guess I just leave it as is. And the minecart line still continues. Now we have a stone bridge. We got a little bit more fancy. And yes, there were no brick walls in the game. None of them. That is also a small village, but let's not waste... yeah. The minecart agrees with not wasting our time here, but how is it called? Acacia Village. But we are looking for the golden macer. I have no idea why I called it golden macer, but there apparently is a gold macer. I mean, there is a macer. Yes. I've spent so long looking for a damn macer in this world. Badlands, sorry. It was called macer back then. Just what it is. But I was going in the wrong direction. And I guess somewhere there's a skeleton spawner. There used to be one, but I never found it again. Somewhere there's a skeleton spawner, and I'm pretty sure that's true. And yes, of course, the fences are always locally sourced. So we have some variation on that behalf, on that part. Except for the desert, because there are no trees, so it's just oak. But otherwise, locally sourced. And I guess there's also a village in the desert, which was not yet a desert village. Because also those did not exist. It was just a regular village out of sandstone. I mean, it was technically a desert village, but there were no desert villagers. And, you know, all of them have triangle-shaped roof, which absolutely makes no sense in an area where it doesn't rain. That is a macer at the Badlands, and we are heading not really underground, but inside the big mountain. And that kinda... Oh. No, that is not what I... That's the turnoff. Oh, that is awkward. Hi, guys. Don't mind me. Once I had all 12 of these furnaces running at the same time and I was crackling like a madman. And yes, glazed terracotta had been introduced at that point. Oh, and there's XP. And staff only, so I guess that is redstone access. It sure is, because that is a semi-automatic wheat farm. Oh, and that is an automatic crafting table. And yes, it's... Should I press it, but then I have to replant it? Oh, I guess I just press it anyways. Yeah. That's what it is. Nothing else. And I must have harvested it fairly late in the game. Because nothing has grown. We need more of that. I need something like that in my next world. Certainly. And what is that? Is just a natural mine shaft? Oh, the gold mesa, because when I generated those chunks, they had made the change that gold is very abundant in the Badlands. That wasn't a thing before then. Was it 1.9 or something like that? I have no idea. But that is a fairly new thing. To me, to a granddad like me, that's a new thing. And also I had buildings here, which are... That actually doesn't look even that bad. That is cute. That is cute. I mean, it's very barren. But I certainly was leveling up on my build skills. I mean, but it's probably just the spruce wood. Because there's nothing better than spruce. Right? Spruce planks, spruce logs, spruce stonies. Yeah, and there wasn't really much more. There's this absolutely hideous tower. I was obsessed with building those towers, but they were all just absolutely ugly. I don't know why. I just wasn't able to pull them off back then, even though the interior, that is rather fancy. I like that. Yeah, I guess that also is more a nuisance machine than anything else. Especially these floors where you just have to time it right to get out. Okay, back to the minecart line. But that gives us one more look towards the village. And also that almost floating tree there. Oh, but that reminds me. There are some very remote locations in this world where I have no clue if I'm even able to find them again. There are 2 of those, look, 3 of those remote locations, 4 of those remote locations. I guess 3 are in one line. And the 4th one isn't that remote. But finding them might be a challenge. Oh yes, and we have another tunnel in here. Which... I just love that thing. Oh, and the underground, I completely forgotten about them. That is a semi-automatic killing machine. Press to crush, on, open, okay, yep. You know, we can press that. And then that crusher is on a delay. Gosh, these guys are loud. Which has the perfect timing for that. And the delay is just... it's not one of my finest works. Yeah, just a repeater spam. Guess that's just cave? More. More. More! I had a weird sense of humor back then. I had a very weird sense of humor back then. Yeah, and because of that farm... okay, that is the turnoff. We have to divert the redstone line, a redstone minecart line. And if we continue... oh, there's a spider jockey! That's fancy. And also that robot looking thing, by the way. You can't tell me these don't look like eyes. It's predating the copper golem. By a long shot. The copper golem wasn't even conceived as an idea. Yes, spider spawner. When that thing spawned. I guess it was a prophet. A prophecy of things to come. Okay, and then what do we do here? Yes, there's a mushroom island, which was the destination for that minecart line. But I won't bother going over there because there is nothing to see. And one of the remote locations is near a mushroom island. So you would think, and to me it kind of looks like it's just over there. But I don't think it actually is. That's certainly naturally generated like that. No doubt about that. I think the remote location I'm looking for is in the complete opposite direction. But for some reason, my instinct tells me it's right over there. Floating sand. Ha! My instincts didn't betray me. That is actually the place we should ideally visit last, because that is where I left this world, by the way. But we are here now, so let's just talk about it. When Caves and Cliffs was announced and that terraforming would change, I kinda knew that I would probably, I guess at that point, not really leave the world, but not upgrade it anymore. So I was kinda thankful that I split the update. So in the first half of Cliffs and Caves we got the new items, but not the new terrain generation. Of course I had to find new terrain to get those new fancy items, and this was that place, which is all newly loaded chunks. Of course, these cows are from the island. And we have all of the fancy, new and beautiful stuff in the copper mine. I was very creative and still am with my names. I know. And that was around the time where becoming a Let's Player turned from an idea to an actual thought. The reason that happened, I mean, I was always thinking about doing Let's Plays myself, because that's just what you do when you watch Let's Plays. I mean, how could you not? At least that's how I am. But at that time, I had become familiar with Gem and her videos. And in her 1.16 series, which obviously predates 1.17, but not by much, she talked a lot about her journey to become a YouTuber. And that just sprouted. And she was talking in that series a lot about the behind the scenes stuff. And so it just, you know, when you think too much about it, it just eventually happens. And at that time I also was more thinking about building. More about building better. Because generally I would call myself a creative person who can take a pencil in their hand and draw something decent on paper. But for some reason my Minecraft builds sucked. All of them. And at that point, I was really trying hard. And if you look closely, you can kind of see that this is a very uncanny blend of my old build style with the typical Gemini Tay roofs. But it is a start, and I'm proud for doing that. The orange tower. Nice blocks, but once again, that is just because they added that stuff, not because I improved in building. We now suddenly have that stuff just available. There's a spyglass. God, finally. And generally that build is fun. That is very fun. I mean, up there it's not so fun, but down here, guess you can already look into the deeper floor where there's a ladder. Then we can still look deeper. We have a little aquarium with man access. I don't know why I thought that door was necessary, honestly. Because it looks hideous, but oh well. A small storage system. God, I was rich. And that is just the stuff that's here. Most of it is in the ender chest or one of the shulkers. And then we can go even deeper. There's my enchantment setup. More evil banners. Then we have an underwater tunnel, but that just leads to the mine. To the copper mine. There's a lot of unmined iron. But I don't think that is too interesting. And in all honesty, this part of this world has been a very weird stage in this world, because it feels kind of detached from everything else, because it's so remote, and also because the build style is so different. Also, there's a lot of time difference. Because after I came back to this world and remedied what I've lost, there was yet another break before I came back to build this outpost. At least that's how I remember it. But that's probably why it feels so detached to everything else. It almost feels like a completely separate world to me. But it's kind of beautiful to have that in your world. And I can remember being down in the cave and do some commenting in my head. As if I would be a Let's Player. Oh, my voice is about to cause me some trouble. Then I guess you have seen everything that is somewhat accessible. There are 3 very remote locations where we have to see if I can find them. And the question is, do I have an elytra in this world? I should have an elytra, but I don't think I've ever used it. There it is, but I don't have any rockets, but I have buttloads of gunpowder. I just find it lovely that there's a boat out here. I must have left that there many years ago. You can see the tower, by the way. So it's not actually that far apart as I thought it would be. Huh. Let's equip that. I'm sure that will bring us far. But it probably will be enough to go back home, and back there I have a paper farm, so things are good. And then back my home base. And I guess the remote locations I'm looking for, if I'm not mistaken, are in that direction. But, of course, let me check. Oh god, don't trample the crops. Alright, with now plenty of rockets and more paper and, of course, all the gunpowder we had in the ender chest. I didn't have to grab anything new from our farm. Let's see if we can find the dog's mansion. It must be somewhere in this general direction. I have no clue. Which is the first of 3 stops. And that expedition, by the way, led us towards a jungle. Because back then, cats did not spawn in villages. But you rather had to tame ocelots. And the funny thing is, there was or still is... Okay, that is a completely new village. Oops. Oopsie, we're on the wrong track. On a mod which renders out your world as a map. As a 3D map. I have seen that I passed by a jungle. Halfway my journey. Just passed by it. Like an absolute derp. But you know, sometimes the destination isn't even the purpose. But it's rather the way to your destination. And I have absolutely no clue if I'm even remotely where I should be. I also don't have any coordinates of that thing. Yep, that is a jungle I passed by, I suppose. Well, then we must be generally in the right spot. But obviously did not see the jungle, so maybe there? That looks familiar. There's a spruce village. But that was already fairly late into the world, so... Because it was kind of modern looking village, maybe the other one wasn't newly generated at all. That could be the spot. That could be the spot. That is the spot. Oh. It looks ugly, I know, but it's just... Oh my, to be back here after so many years. Berry Manor is it actually called. Okay, interesting. The Berry Manor, but there are many dogs, which you can hear howling and barking. And there are also many dogs. Oh, hi guys, you on your rainbow carpet, looking all adorable. Have you missed me? I have not anything I could give you, sadly. Oh, I certainly have missed you. Cuties. That's just an empty room. But that's just... Okay, that's just an ugly attic. But there's a basement to that thing. And that basement... You know, you would think these are just spruce trapdoors. But actually, I was kicking it out of the park. And thought we are in cold environment, so we want to keep the warmth in, obviously. You know, thinking about it, especially the warmth that comes from the nether portal. So, there is insulation. The whole ceiling or the whole floor from above are wheat blocks. Yes, I'm insane. And by the way, while we're here, we haven't been in the nether before, but I'm just... curious where the hell that even leads me to. Yeah, that is what I thought. Nowhere. Have I flicked back all the trapdoors? Because imagine if I would leave one trapdoor like that. I wouldn't be able to sleep anymore for the entirety of the rest of my life. Because something would keep me up at night and I wouldn't know what it is. Okay, but that's all to Berry Manor. Or, what have I called it? Yeah, Manor. Oh, but not all of it. There is a cave underneath here. And there's a grave. Rest in peace, the mountain boots. Because I was not paying attention and... Oof. About not paying attention. And eventually they just broke. So I have this little poppy down here. Remembering the mountain boots. And what a rich boy was I that I used lanterns here. But despite using lanterns, I still have torches on the ground. You know, sometimes I'm just really weirded out about myself. I'm just really weirded out. However, now we found the Berry Manor, we can just continue in this general direction and we will find the Acacia Island. That is naturally generated, but that is not. And I guess that island should even be safe in nighttime. God, that was such a far stretch, such a weird thing for me to build. Well, that is a super smelter. Or a cheap version of that. Oh, and there's another island flag, or another flag of this world. However, this time with a lighter blue. Which looks a bit weird with that green. Oh well. Hi, friend. Yes, and that was all beach house style. Old treasure maps. Beautiful. Treasure, kind of. Okay, sure. A large dock. And that is where I found my first coral reef. Oh god, that is beautiful. Oh, that is beautiful. I love that world. But also this place feels so unattached to the rest of this world. I mean, for obvious reasons. It's just weird. We have some automatic farms here. A lot of sugarcane and that... Why have I covered that up? I mean, it's a large tropical fish pond, but I have no idea why I've covered that up. But what I have an idea about is that there should be turtles here. Okay, we have 2 boats and in each of them is a turtle and a cow. Great. Here I was raising some baby turtles. Had fenced them in, they had this lantern for illumination. Oh, it was a great time. It was really a great time. So I can actually nurse turtles, even though I don't seem to be capable to do that in my current Let's Play. I was, and that is a creeper's mine, so... Maybe it's a good thing I don't know what happened here. Maybe that is a good thing. Yeah, that is actually beautiful. I mean, it is very rough. It lacks bushes and it lacks trapdoors. But apart from that, it's not that bad actually. I mean, considering I built that years ago, at that point it might have been one of my greatest builds. Okay, then to the final destination. I remember that village here. I've been to this place. Probably slept the night away. Because I was afoot when I came here out the first place. I was afoot. I generally haven't used the elytra at all in this world for some reason. Because I was just scared about falling out of the sky and dying. And losing all my stuff. Because, just in case I haven't told you before, I used to be an absolute scaredy cat. And just the idea of losing something, of losing items, I couldn't deal with that. I still have trouble dealing with that. Okay, where is that stupid jungle now? Come on. Because my elytra is about to break and it's the middle of the night. Oh god. There's another boat. Maybe let's... And I can't repair it because I don't have enough XP to repair it. Oh dear. I mean, it's nighttime and I don't have enough XP. You know, the kinda... solves itself, doesn't it? Maybe let's go to the mountains. That's a bit easier to navigate, is it? Did I really just say that mountains are easier to navigate? Have I lost now all of my brain cells? Yep. And here goes the elytra. Okay, one thing I have not expected to see in this world, for obvious reasons, because it didn't exist back then. But these are apparently newly generated chunks. A firefly bushes. Oh yes! That surely wasn't a throwaway joke. Okay, why am I just playing the game? It was supposed to be a world tour. But I guess if you made it all that way into the video, you probably don't mind it either. I don't know what it is what you came for. but apparently I'm delivering upon that. Can we get a disc? 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 Can we... Ugh. I don't think we can get a disc because that Skelly will just burn like an absolute fool and I will explode like an absolute dummy. Okay, now we have icebergs. I was looking for a jungle, but then again, back then icebergs spawned in very odd locations. So it's probably fine. That looks jungle-ish. Oh god, that almost killed me. That would have been embarrassing, but we found it. We found it. We found it. Oh god, this is exciting. I don't know what I'm so excited about, because in the jungle there is also just a started and not even half finished build. A tree house. Yeah, I know, not very original, but it's fine. It's fine. The question is, where did... That looks odd. Do you see that? That iceberg where... That shouldn't generate like that. That's not how icebergs work in IRL, is it? That looks man-made. That... No. What the heck is that? That is an ocean ruin on land. That is crazy. That they have... Oh my lord. Now I kinda regret that I have not taken those bones with me. Because they are absolutely adorable. Okay, these are definitely new generated chunks. There is the weirdest ocean monument I've ever seen. It just carved underneath the jungle. Like it's nobody's business. I'm kind of doubtful at that point this is actually my jungle. God, there is so much jungle here. No wonder I can't find the right one. Maybe that's my island. Every island looks like my island. Yeah, this was supposed to be a world tour. Not about, let's try to find a place where I haven't been in years and where I have no proper recollection where it actually is. How was there even more jungle? Yeah, that wasn't my jungle. Maybe that was my jungle. I found it! Well, actually I cheated a little bit. I could find an old map of this world rendered with the overview program, and there I just searched for the coordinates. And as it turns out, we were miles away from the actual location. I would have never found it. But here we are, to... well, what for? That silly little treehouse. And turns out, I didn't actually come here for cats, as when I arrived here, they already made the change so you know that you couldn't tame ocelots anymore. Why are those parrots in the pen as well? It's maybe not the best combination. You know, ocelots and parrots in one pen. Okay, we have bamboo. Well, let's see what the treehouse has in store. Oh, and yes, I lit up the path. So it's not quite as dangerous at night. And you can also at least find it. As this is a jungle after all. But that lantern is really cute here, isn't it? Alright, I'm curious, because I don't have too many recollections of this treehouse, but I do know that it lacks an interior. Probably. But it's quite large, actually. Uh-huh. Okay, yep, no interior anywhere. Oh, another disc. Oh yes. I had the idea for 4 ocelots to be called Leo, Leah, and... what? No, now I'm confused. Leo, Leah, Leo, and Leo. Leia, Leo, Leah... something like that. It was Leo, Leah, Leo, and Leia. Yes. Not that difficult, Tony. Another one of those to-do things that never got done. But that's just how that is. And here we have an opening. So I presume that... okay. I mean, leaves don't grow back, right? So this is probably a design flaw. But how else would I have come up here? Oh well. And yes, that is pretty much everything there is to see here. Oh, there's another opening. But why is there... Oh, let's not question it. But that is pretty much everything there is in this treehouse. We will probably meet back up at the comfort of our home in Squirreldas, as now you've seen everything of the outposts we have. Now that looks familiar. We made it, and now after all that chaos and nonsense to find the jungle, I think it's about time that I show you quickly the Nether. There isn't too much in the Nether, but I guess it's the world where I did by far the most in the Nether. And the spawn is incredibly close to a fortress. You can already see there is a blaze, which is very awesome, of course. Yes, these are the hunting grounds for wither skeletons. The blaze spawner is somewhere in that wall. Oh, I remember being terrified in this place. And I died once over there, but not because of blaze or anything, but rather because of digging into lava. There isn't a lot of interior here. But it's a completely spawn-proof build, because it's all half-slabbed. Oh, we have a lot of stuff here. Oh, and we have XP. Sorry, give me a moment. This is important. Oh, it goes even deeper? Oh boy. Yeah, there's a window. I'm not sure what my plans were for that thing, considering it I apparently kept digging even deeper. I'm sure there was something in my mind. However, if we go all the way up, then we have another minecart line. With a beautiful red tunnel and windows and everything. So let me give you quickly a tour, and we have now here detector rails besides the powered rail, because there is no space underneath as this is a bridge. That was a hassle to build that thing, believe me. And here we are already at the first station, which leads to Redtopia. It all links up. But I guess there isn't that much. Where even does that lead out? Probably to the stronghold. Yep, the stronghold it is. And you can of course also leave the station, but that's just nasty out there, so... let's rather not. And that is a portal to the Badlands. Right, but I don't think I've completed that tunnel. So that might not be a safe journey. Yeah, there aren't even tracks. Yeah, okay, that's completely open. And I have a station over there too. Let's maybe just check it out while we're here. And you can see some bridges where I was venturing on foot. Yeah, also the station is less complete than I thought it would be. So maybe that was just a waste of time coming over here. Yeah, probably. And one small detail. Those doors have on the portal side no trapdoors. Not just... and the reason actually is not because there are no red nether brick trapdoors. Pressure plates. Have I been saying trapdoors the whole time? Oh well. It's purely so that pigmen or whatever follows me through the portal cannot come into my base. Because that would be a shame, right? Oh boy. What a journey. I guess one thing I have forgotten to tell you, and I've also now realized why this is so awkward back there. Because that tower used to be square, and I've rounded it off and haven't done the top of it. And also, when I built that building, I also built a hall here, which was kinda 70s, 80s kinda style. It wasn't beautiful, and it was always empty, so I tore it down. Here was my old storage room, by the way. And up there, we had a small horse stable once. I guess I just wanted to mention that. To throw these random lore bits in just to make it complete. I guess these were all the buildings I've torn down. I mean, including the hall back there, all train stations, stuff like that. Oh well. With all of that, thank you so much for joining me. That was quite a journey. For me, probably even more than for you, as it felt good and also kind of weird. Seeing this old world, rediscovering things I've completely forgotten about. Because most of my Minecraft, probably not time at that point, but Minecraft years, was spent in this world. So coming back to it to see my own roots, it was wonderful. I hope you had a good time as well. And enjoyed seeing the 2012 build style for the first and probably also the last time on this channel, as I will return, of course, with a new world and new experiences. However, coming back to this old world and seeing how I spread out my builds and how I've chosen my projects, I feel kinda inspired, and there are many things I want to take over to my next world, to my next adventure, because there are some things I certainly have lost transforming to YouTube. Because obviously with making videos your priorities are completely different. But that doesn't mean that now I've found those things again, that it has to stay that way. Oh, I'm very excited to bring the best of all the worlds into one world. So, with that, see you soon in a different universe, faintly reminiscent of this one. So take care and see you very soon. Okay, that now was awkward.